and welcome to video tutorial number 5 of our bunny, and we're going to get the pattern started today. So let's show you how we begin. Let's begin your bunny. I will always tell you what we're making, how many we're making, and what colour we're going to be using. So always read the first bit before you start. If you're too enthusiastic and get started and then find that you're using the wrong colour or something. So we're going to be using our main colour throughout, unless otherwise stated, which is our grey. And the only other colour with the bunny kit is obviously the colour for your little bow or bow tie. So this one's quite a straightforward one. Our first instruction, and we're going to give you a top tip here before we even begin. Post-it notes are absolutely brilliant at keeping your pace. You can get stitch markers, stitch counters. You can also use a bit of paper and a pen. You can even write on the pattern and tick off the rows as you go. But post-it note helps you see quickly and easily without looking for your line. It's quite easy to, when you're looking at the pattern and you're trying to concentrate, accidentally read the wrong line. So it's a good tip. Pop a post-it note under so you always can see where you're up to. So it's an MC with 6 DC stitches, and we've written it how a normal pattern would be written, even though it's for beginners, so that we can show you exactly what the abbreviations mean. So that helps you understand when you're making other patterns in the future. You'll understand what it means and how to understand it. So magic MC is a magic circle. We can see that under our abbreviations. Make a magic circle with the number of stitches stated. The DC is a double crochet. So we're going to be making a magic circle with 6 double crochet stitches in. And the number at the end in brackets is the number of stitches we'll end up with at the end of the round, which is obviously 6 because we're doing 6 in there. So let's get started. For today, this lesson, we're going to need our wool, scissors, our crochet hook, and also a stitch marker. So I've actually pulled out the wool from the middle of the ball, which I think we showed you in the last video, so you just pop it out of there, but feel free to work from the back if you wanted to. So here's the end of our yarn. Now the magic circle is the most tricky part, so don't worry if you find this hard. You probably will need to watch this video quite a few times. You'll probably go wrong quite a lot of times. You might even get frustrated with it, but this is the hardest part of getting started with crochet. So once you've cracked this, it's going to be much easier. So do please persevere. Don't give in and think, oh my goodness, I can't do it. Just take a break from it for 5 minutes, come back to it, try again, and just watch the video carefully and rewind as many times as you need to. So what we're going to do, this is the end of our wool. I'm going to hold my palm like so, my left hand, and then I'm just going to wrap it around. You can use 2 fingers or 1 finger, whichever is the most comfortable. I'll use 2 to start with because it's a bit bigger. But once you get started, you may find you've found it better to use 1. So this leads to our ball. That's just the loose end. So we've wrapped it around the fingers twice. I'll just show you that again. So we're going over the back of our index finger and behind the middle finger and the ring finger, and then we're just going to go forward and over the top, forward and over the top. So we've gone around twice, and then I'm going to use my little finger just to hold it. And you can see here I'm using my thumb to hold it. Now you will feel a bit like an octopus because you're trying to hold on to so many things. It is a bit fiddly, but just bear with it, and you'll soon find a way that you're comfortable holding everything. Crochet hook's going to be in our right hand. If you are left-handed, you've 2 different options. We do get quite a lot of left-handed people who decide just to go for holding the crochet hook in the right hand and learning right-handed. And they said they actually find it quite easy to hold the crochet hook. It's not as difficult as trying to write with your right hand, and they found it works really well. Your other option would be to reverse everything. So you would be using the wool in your right hand and the crochet hook in your left, and then you'd just be working everything backwards. Instead of going clockwise around like so, you would be working anti-clockwise around when you're crocheting. So that's if you're left-handed. So the demonstrations and the tutorials will all be based on being right-handed. So at the moment we are holding our hook in our left hand. You can hold it like so, just get a feel for whatever's comfortable for you. So what we're going to do first is pop our hook under those 2 loops, and we're going to grab this yarn here. So I'm grabbing the back bit, and this is called a crochet hook, and the whole reason is because you're going to use it like a hook and grab the wool with it. Always try not to split the wool, because if you split it, it does make it harder to see your stitches. So try and grab the whole strand, and you often work by moving it at an angle to get it through. If you pull it like this, you'll be grabbing all of the strands. So you grab it and then angle it to the side and do that, pull it back under. So I'll show you that again. So we're going underneath, grabbing that back part of the wool, grabbing it with our hook, turn it to an angle so we can pull it through neatly without grabbing those 2 strands. We don't want those. So we're going to pull it through. And then what we're going to do now, we're not going back underneath, we're going over the top. So we're grabbing the same bit again, the back part of that wool that's held there. So make sure you're holding this with your thumb, and make sure you've got that loose end there with your finger to keep it all held tightly. If you let go of it all, you'll find it's all loose and it'll all fall off, so grip those. So now we're angling again and pulling that through that loop. And that gives us a slip knot on our ring. So that is not a stitch, that's our slip knot just to get us started. So now we're going to do our first double crochet stitch. So it's very similar. So all we're going to do is, we've got our working yarn on the hook, so we'll keep that on. We're going to go underneath those 2 loops again, grab that at the back and pull it back through just like you did earlier. And now you have got 2 loops on your hook. So instead of going under, we're now going to go over the top and just grab that back piece again. It's kind of under and over, I think of it as. So you're going under, then over, under, then over. So we've gone over and we're going to angle it to pull through, and we're going to pull it through both of those loops. Look, I've lost it. You see, even I can do it wrong. So let's have a look. So we'll start again. So I'm going to get my slip knot, which is under and then over. So that's my original slip knot. So now I'm going under, grabbing the yarn, and then over and grabbing the yarn and pulling it through both of those loops, an angle, and now I'm left with 1 loop on my hook. Now the trick with this is as well, you don't want it loose so you've got a great big loop like so, that's too big. You don't want it so tight that you cannot get your stitch through and that it's getting trapped. So you just need it like that, just with a tiny little gap, so you can get things through. Now that what we have just done is our first double crochet stitch, and if we turn it like so, it looks like a little V. The bit at the bottom is our slip knot, so it's just that last V shape. That is our first double crochet stitch, easy as that. So I'm just going to pop everything back like so, keep hold of everything. So we're going to do another one now. So we're going to go under, remember, under and over, grab our wool and pull it back through. So we've got our 2 loops, and then over the top, grabbing that back piece again, pulling it through both of those loops. And that's our second double crochet stitch. So we're just going to repeat that. So under, grab the wool, pull it back, over, grab the wool, pull it back, and go through both of those loops. This is really tricky to do because I'm holding it at an angle so I can get it for the camera. It's not normally this tricky. There we are. So under, over. So it does feel a bit awkward because you're trying to hold so many things, but just keep going. Under, grab the yarn, over, grab the yarn, pull it through. So now we'll count our stitches. So we do that by looking at the V's. We don't count that at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just need 1 more to make our 6. So under, over, I'll pull it through. We've now got our 6. through there like that. So we've got 6. So this is what we're left with. So now what we're going to do is take our fingers out, and now we just need to close the magic circle. So the first thing we do is grip with our thumb and our index finger. We're going to grip that with our right hand and hold the base there very tightly. Now we're going to pull these 2 loops. There's 2 loops here. Now one, when we try and pull it through, we'll pull, and one won't. So that one won't budge, it's really tight. This one will pull it, so we're going to pull it through. So we're pulling one loop bigger, and the other loop, as you can see, is disappearing and it's gone. So now we're left with one large loop and then the end there. So now we've pulled it through, so we've got one large loop. We're going to get the end and pull that, and that will pull out the large loop. So that will disappear, and we're left with our magic circle. That's a bit tricky. You may find there's a few different things that can go wrong with that. A lot of people accidentally pull this end first. That's wrong. It then won't work. A lot of people, if you've managed to split the wool a few times, have ended up with the ring a little bit tangled. So then when you're trying to put it through, it pretty much won't pull through. Or the other option is that you're just pulling the wrong loop. So make sure that you tug on both of them, hold it very firmly at the bottom so you've got some traction, and pull both of the loops, and the one that will pull is the one that you pull. So you pull that so it's bigger and it makes the other loop disappear, and then second you pull the end strand and then the big loop will disappear. So you're left with a long bit of string there and a nice loop. Sorry, a nice magic circle there. So now what we need to do is we need to mark what the end of our round is. So the wool that was over our hook, I've just took it out so I can hold everything to get the stitch marker in. That's not a stitch, that's just our working yarn. And if we look at the V's here, the last V there, look, the very last one, that's where we put on stitch marker, and then when we're doing our next round we can see which is the last stitch of our round. Please don't skip this. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make, is not using the stitch marker. So top tip, another one, is use the stitch marker on every round, and if you're beginning, count your stitches at the end of every round. If you skip that step, I have so many people message me saying I've ended up with 65 stitches and I don't know how it happened. I've now halfway through the body. They haven't counted them. So what's happened is they've somehow ended up with too many as they're working, and then they've gone round and round after round and then found it's wrong, and then they end up having to pull it all back out, which is really frustrating when you're learning, because of course it takes you so much longer and it just feels like a setback. So count your stitches at the end of every single round. So I'll show you again how to count them. So you can see here we have a little line across that doesn't look like a full stitch. That's the slip knot. Do not count that. So we're counting the V's, which is there's 2 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last one is that one there. We've put our marker in 6. So we've got 6 stitches in our magic circle. So you can see that. So this is the hardest one. You'll probably need to do this quite a lot of times to get it cracked, but you can do it. If you try over and over again and you think, I just cannot do it, it's driving me crazy, we do actually have a video for a cheat method. So if you look on our YouTube channel and look under beginner lessons, there is a set of lessons and it says cheat magic circle. And that's a simpler way of doing it. So if you're struggling with it, you can try the cheat method. The reason that we don't start you off with the cheat method is simply because it's not quite as neat, and it does leave you with a little bit of hole in your magic circle. So it's not the method we use to show you. But if you're struggling, it's a way of getting started. And then when you've got your confidence, you can always come back to this video and try again. So then we have it. So we have our magic circle with 6 stitches. And in the next round, we'll be increasing. So that will be on the next video. So we'll see you there. Thank you for watching.